Do you mind? Hi, Chill. Do you mind leading the prayer for tonight? Otherwise, si Kan siguro. Si Mark. Mark? Jen, can you hear me? Siguro naman, ano?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
How about Mark? Mark and Mitchell. So, I called their names. Si Mary Joy na lang. Si Mark. Ayan na, si Mark. Okay? Mark?
Excuse me po, nag-CR pa po siya.
Okay. Sige. Si Mary Joy na lang. Mary Joy.
Good evening, everyone. Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of God. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear God, we come together today with grateful hearts, thanking for your good health you have given each of us. We ask for your blessing upon this review class, granting us clear minds and focus attention as we study. Guide our learnings and help us to retain the information we need. We pray for success in our studies and that we may all pass the board exam. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you, Mary Joy. So, hi. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maria Ana Pulidos. So, I'm your reviewer. Also, I want to introduce Jen. She's the review coordinator. She's the one who you're always asking for questions, for inquiries. So probably we can already. First thing is I want to show you the table of specifications, or probably the resolution first, Jen, so that it would be clearer for everyone. Okay.
Nakikita na, ma'am?
Yes. Can we enlarge or okay. So that's our basis tonight. And the reason why we're showing this one is because this is the basis of and it's applicable. They will apply this PRB resolution number 3 series of 2024 for the July 2025 board. Okay. So okay, so that's the one. And again, thank you for joining us for tonight's orientation. We appreciate your commitment and interest as we prepare for your board exam this 2025. Otherwise, some are, starting their review as early as this year, but they're taking it next year for the July 2026 environmental planner licensure examination. So tonight, I want to start by sharing some important updates about the licensure exam itself. There have been significant changes in the exam coverage and structure with the release of this PRB and of environmental planning resolution number 3 series of 2024, and it introduces the enhanced table of specifications, or the TOS, so which will serve as the official guide for the upcoming exam and all exams moving forward. So we're putting now a spotlight on this update. It will directly affect the way we approach also our review and coaching. So the goal is to make sure that every session, every discussion, and every practice exam you encounter with us is precisely aligned with the expectations set by the board through this POS. So, okay, can you move upward, Jen? Okay, so just want to highlight some, for example, this Section 9H of RA 8981. So this is the PRC Modernization Act of 2000. It said that it empowers the PRB, blah, 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 to prepare, adopt, and issue the syllabi. So it talks about the TOS of the subjects for examinations in consultation with the academe. So they have this basis. So everyone was consulted, those relevant institutions were consulted, and they have determined and prepared the questions for the licensure examinations, which shall strictly be within the scope of the syllabi or TOS of the subjects for examination. So it said there. And so this basically means the PRC, through the Board of Environmental Planning, has the authority to set what topics and competencies should be covered in the licensure. And then the section 15, can you move upward? So the law itself requires everyone to pass a written exam. So then next one, the CHED aspect there. So this means the board is now aligning the licensure examination with the curriculum of environmental planning programs across the country, especially for I think some universities already started with the Bachelor of Science in Environmental Planning, and for those who recently graduated in their master's program or diploma, you expect that the exam will mirror really what you learn in school, because there should be connection, right? So then next one, let's see the Philippine qualifications framework. Diyan pakitaas itong nakalagay, Philippine qualifications framework. So this measure, so the PRC actually has this Philippine qualifications framework in RA 10968 that they will, the questions are more scenario based and often asked how you'd handle, the more realistic planning problems. Also, in the next, nakalagay dyan, outcome-based. Okay, pakitaas yung last na whereas the next. The Commission issued our resolution number 1049, and it said, prescribing the adoption and promulgation of an outcome-based licensure examination by all PRBs for the respective profession. The reason why it's there, because it refers to the practical application of what you know, not just those remembering items, understanding, analyzing, evaluating, and even proposing solutions, okay? So also in our review, we're not just focusing on how you should be good in memorizing, but also on practice questions that test your ability to apply and analyze. So that's what this specific whereas is telling us. Next one, you can move upward again on public. I think it's public consultation. Let's see. So, sige lang, taas mo pa dyan. Shall be the basis for the items. Then, yeah, you can see that whereas 1, 2, 3 here in this page, the board conducted the public consultation. So, yeah, it's in partnership with the various schools offerings. So it said in this specific whereas. So the changes in the exam are not done really by the board only, but also in consultation with other stakeholders. So we expect a combination of some old questions and also mostly updated and current. So it means that it reflects current practice and thinking in the field of environmental planning. Not outdated. There might be some outdated standards that might come up, because it could be very difficult to take out all those outdated items from the data bank. So it will serve like historical, when these questions will be asked, it will serve as providing the historical context of the amended, or the updated framework or strategy, or policy, law or policy. Okay, so we expect that there will still be some outdated questions, but mostly they have already combined, because each year they prepare 100 questions each. So there are 3 members of the board, 1 chairman, 2 members. So each of them are required to formulate new questions, and then they add that to the data bank. So that's how it's being done. And so now, therefore, the board resolves as it is hereby resolved to adopt, issue, and promulgate the enhanced table of specifications for the subjects in that. So I will be showing the Annex A later, after this one. So Jen, so we expect more situational, case-based questions. So you cannot really be very relaxed, or you need to really practice answering challenging questions, the tricky questions. So that's what we need to do to anticipate questions that would mirror this enhanced POS. So Jen, can we look at the you can unshare this one and share the other one, the annex. Okay, so why what is the POS, and why is it important? And so I explained earlier that the POS, the syllabi itself, so it's essentially the blueprint for the exam. So it tells you the breakdown of topics, the relative weight of its subject, and the kinds of thinking skills that will be tested. So this is not a secret document as it was published last year in 2024, but it was not applied because it came out like ano na yung date doon. So it was after, I think it was August ba yun? What was the date, Jen, of that resolution? I forgot. So it's the blueprint. Okay. What else? So it was made in public, so everyone has a fair shot at preparing smart and more efficiently. So the exam covers three core subjects, each with its own weight in the total score. So you can see, and here, environmental planning, process, techniques, and strategies, 45%. So this is the heaviest part of the exam, nearly half. Nearly half the questions are here. So this is the heaviest part of the exam. And the focus is on your ability to handle planning information, do development planning, perform land use planning, and manage area development planning. For example, you'll be asked not only to define concepts, but also to analyze, apply, and even create solutions for planning problems. So not just what is questions, but also how do you questions, why should you questions, and what's the best way to blank, okay? And the breakdown of competencies tested under this subject is planning information. Can you put it up, Jen? Can you fix that? Planning information, 20%, okay? A. And then development planning, 30%. Can you move quickly? Development planning. Development planning, B, letter B. Can you find letter B? Okay, that's the one, 30%. So there are 30%, there are 20% also. So let's remember that it's important. So we go up. Let's see the letter C. Let's see the letter C. Okay. Letter C is land use planning. That's again another 30%. So you have planning information management 20, development planning 30, land use planning 30, and the letter D. Let's see. Tingnan natin yung next dyan. After land use. So you can see, ang dami niyan, ano? So because half na yun half. Almost half, that's 45%. Area development planning is 20%, so that's 100% of the 45%. So each of these further, broken down into sub-competencies, identifying plans, differentiating between CLUP and CDP, applying planning tools, also recommending planning or mapping tools, integrating research, etc. And so even in history, can you proceed further? Let's see the second part. Okay. This one is history, concepts, theories, and principles of environmental planning. That's 20%. And this part checks your understanding of the roots and philosophy of the profession. It also covers the evolution of planning thought, global and local trends, city and regional planning concepts, and the ethics and advocacy expected of planners. So we expect both historical recall and critical evaluation. Questions may ask you to appraise how planning evolved or to relate a theory to today's urban problems. So that's how it goes. It should go. Let's see the breakdown then. So environmental planning 30%. So the definition of ups. Can you bring it back? Environment, and then planning, and then environmental planning. That's 30%. So definition, nature, elements, and processes of the environment and human ecology. Can you proceed to letter B so that they can see the breakdown? So cities, okay, cities, city planning and development. So that's 40%. And then let's see the origin, development, and planning of early cities, blah, blah, blah. And then letter C. Okay, regions. Okay. The concept of regions, and then regional planning, and development. So we have concepts, nature, and classification of regions. So later I will show you what are these questions under this one. And later you will encounter, we will try some passport questions. Not exactly the way it was framed in the previous exams, but recalls. Okay, those were a product of recalls of the examinees. So regional delineation also, and then centers, regional centers through history. Letter C. Okay, and then meron pa ba? Iba? May letter D ba? Okay. Now, we proceed to okay na yun, ano? And we proceed to the last part, which is plan implementation, legal aspects, and plan administration and environmental planning. That's 35%. So 10% lower than the processes, covering 45%. So this is the second highest. And this section focuses on how plans are carried out, the legal rules that planners need to observe, and how planning works within government and public administration. We should expect questions on major laws like our own law, our profession, which is R 80587, how it's being regulated, and then the EIA law and procurement also, public sector reforms. So the mechanics of project management, public sector budgeting, and even professional practice enshrined in the code of ethics, role of planners, etc. And so under letter C, Okay, we can see 42% legal foundations of environmental planning. You have key milestones there, laws and rules and regulations on social or socioeconomic planning. So we can move to the next. I think we have program project. Okay, B is program and project development and management also and implementation. And that's 12%. Pinakamalaki yung legal foundation. So it means that we need to really be familiarized, not just familiarized, we need to do some memory work for the laws, environmental laws. And then next one, letter C, I think higher than, okay, yeah. So that's 19.30%.
Ma'am Ann?
Hello?
Ma'am Ann?
Yes, I can hear you.
Nawawala po yung audio niyo.
Hanggang ngayon? So how long was that?
Kanina po, may sound po na hindi, yung parang nag-i-interrupt po yung sound.
Probably because I'm holding my iPad. So I did not learn my lesson. I'm holding my iPad from the left side, so probably it's tried to block my voice. Now it's okay.
Yes po.
Okay, so apologies. Now for letter C, planning, administration, and professional practices. So we have that major public sector reform measures towards good governance. So all these best practices in good governance and public service principles in national, regional, and local planning initiatives. So can we proceed further? So marami to. We have letter, so you can also see the code. Ano yun ulit, Jen? May nadaanan tayo na, is it the code of ethics? Sige, doon. Code of ethics for environmental planners. Although 2% lang yan, but we cannot really ignore the scope. The whole, 2%, only 3 items. Sige. Next is scope of professional practice. That's 2%. It means that there will be 3 questions that should be asked here, and meron siyang breakdown. And then public sector management, budgeting, procurement, and PPP, that's 27%. So this is the next 2 legal foundations is public sector management, budgeting, procurement, and PPP. So it comprises 27%, 26.67. Okay, so you can anyway, I think Jen posted these 2 documents, the resolution itself and this annex comprising the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, and so you can review and you can check how, if you can track your pacing. You can track also how well or how far you've gone through your review. Okay, I would like, so you can unshare that then. Can unshare that. So that yung Bloom's taxonomy kanina, can you sorry. Can you bring back again? I haven't done about yung annex ulit. So para ano ko lang yung, okay, so doon sa the very first page of this Annex A, can see, let's just show them. Okay, so oops, there you go. Itong mga Bloom's taxonomy here, and pwedeng i-akyat mo konti, because remembering and understanding, so you'll notice that for each subject that the OS specifies, not just the topics, but how you are expected to demonstrate your knowledge. And first, you can see remembering and then understanding. And these are your basic recall and comprehension questions. And then applying and analyzing these tests, whether you can use concepts, break down problems, and interpret scenarios. And for evaluating and creating, and we expect that this should be the most challenging aspect of our board exam. This is the highest level. And here you're expected to make judgments, propose solutions, and even synthesize information to create new approaches. So we before we see examinations like enumerate, define, there are long gone. More weight is given to how you apply knowledge in real situations and solve planning problems these days. So for the total exam items, 200 for process, 100 for history concepts, 150 for plan implementation and legal aspects. So each competency has a corresponding number of items, so you can focus your review proportionally. Don't spend all your time on a topic that's only 2% of the exam. So you know what to do. If it's time to skip the problem when answering, skip it first, but make sure you have marked it. Okay? At saka meron din kayong tentative answer. Ganon. And so how does this TOS affect your review strategy? Focus your energy according to the weights. So don't just review randomly. So you ought to have a game plan. Practice questions that reflect the level of thinking required. Do not settle for just memorizing definitions. You need to prioritize also understanding how to apply laws, analyze scenarios, and justify your answers with correct reasoning. So the enhanced TOS is meant to align the exam with what is now taught in schools and required in the field. It ensures that new planners are ready not just to pass the exam, but to practice professionally and ethically. So we can go now to okay, you can share and I'll share some questions. Let's see. Anyway, there are 26 people here, -2, so we are 24. I'll try to share. Okay, my screen. I'll start broadcast. Okay. Yeah, I've been doing this one for some people, and for those who are first timers here, please know that we have done already some questions, but all are all were recorded naman. So mostly on a daily basis. So if you register, then you can still access all of the recordings from 2024 to 2025. So I would like to start because we finished last night about number 12. So we are here in number 13. So Sigfrid, do you mind reading? Okay, let's try this. Sigfrid? Is Sigfrid around? Hindi ko kasi nakikita dyan.
Ma'am, good evening.
Hi! Sige nga. Okay. Let's try to do that.
Number 13 pa, ma'am, no?
Yeah. Okay.
Number 13. It is a concept of spatial development that well articulated and integrated system of growth centers of different sizes and functional characteristics can play an important role in facilitating more widespread regional development. Concept of spatial development. So spatial siya dapat. Tapos well articulated and integrated system of growth centers of different sizes and functional characteristic can play an important role in facilitating more widespread regional development. Widespread.
So you're now
So,
analyzing the question, right? Okay.
yes po. Widespread regional development. Siguro po ma'am, ano po yung sagot ko? Hindi siya growth pool kasi yung growth pool nag-a-attract yun eh. Tapos yung smart growth concept, hindi siya function special integration. Decentralized territorial approach po, ma'am, letter B. Kasi
Okay.
nag-distribute siya ng parang nag-spread siya ng development, ganun.
I see. So let's analyze first the question, right? So that what are the key phrases there? Integrated. Okay, we can see integrated. So walahin ko muna. And then, so what are the key phrases to focus on? We can see integrated. Okay, nag-jump ako. Integrated system of growth centers of different sizes. So, it was there because it's required to include in the analysis. And then, tama ka naman, widespread regional, facilitating more widespread regional development. So, um, actually, I'll do this one by one, no? What is a growth pole concept? It's actually a regional development strategy. Okay, regional development strategy. All right. What else? So, in growth pole concept, it proposes that certain urban centers, such as the growth pole, act as engines of growth. Okay. So engines of growth. What else? You should know this one, that aside from it's acting as engines of growth, it is geared toward, spreading, because it's a regional development strategy, spreading development outward to smaller towns and rural areas. Sorry, I will make this. Sige, paano kaya mag-ano dito? Smaller towns and rural areas. So, nakakakuha na ba kayo? And then, this also theory is also based on hierarchy, okay? It's based on a hierarchy. So, hierarchy of interconnected centers. Of various sizes. So, are you relating now? Of various sizes and designed to spread, okay, spread economic activity more broadly across regions. So yun yung definition niya, across regions. But of course, there are more definitions of that, but this is the foundation. Now I would like to proceed with the decentralized territorial approach. Decentralized, because of the word decentralized territorial approach, it focuses on spreading governance and development to various areas, but does not emphasize a hierarchy of growth centers. So, ilalagay ko pa din yan, no? Focuses on spreading governance. But of course, there would be some dedicated discussion or lecture on this one sa regional development, regional planning, mga ganon. So you will encounter this again. Okay? Spreading, but for the meantime, let's try to test how we can benefit from the strategies. So spreading governance and development to various areas. Tingnan niyo yung ano niya, no? Yung difference niya. The various areas, but does not emphasize a hierarchy. Okay, a hierarchy of growth centers. Medyo lumalayo na yung yung pagsusulat ko. Does growth centers or their integration. Okay, so I'll make it. Now, itong functional spatial. Ano naman kaya ito, no? Functional spatial integration is, it refers to linking space, space, or linking spaces, because it's spatial, no? Space. Linking spaces based on functional relationships. Nakikita pa kaya? Functional relationships. Okay. But not specifically about a network of growth centers. Now, we're down to the last one, which is the smart growth concept. So what is the smart growth concept? So I think this is very easy because when we talk about smart growth concept in this context, so it talks about, okay, sustainability. So pag sustainability, pag hindi pa rin kayang mag-decide ng answer, so we keep going at this compact development. Talks about compact development, and then mostly at the local or metropolitan level. Mostly, okay? Mostly at the local or metropolitan level. But we are talking about region, di ba? So not about regional hierarchies, not regional hierarchies. So kapag titignan ninyo, we go back to the question again, that when you see growth centers, hierarchy, or regional integration in spatial development questions, always connect to the growth pole context or concept. The other options don't fit this widely used regional theory, actually. So, what else? Basta yung mga urban centers, and then the idea is that economic growth starts in the pole and spreads outward through investments, through jobs and infrastructure, eventually lifting up the entire region. So this is a regional theory. Kaya if we go back to the question again, it is a concept of spatial development and well articulated and integrated system of growth centers of different sizes and functional characteristics can play an important role in facilitating more widespread regional development. And so kapag nakalagay dyan, regional development, then you can start eliminating smart growth because that's the city level, yung mga And then, because for the centralized, okay, the centralized is still outward. You are still spreading governance, but decentralized, but does not emphasize a hierarchy of growth centers or their integration. So, the mere fact that decentralized, okay, could be this one, you might be confused here, but territorial approach is still not about hierarchy. It's still very limiting. Okay, because it talks about widespread regional development. If you're not really familiar with regional planning, and then when you decide, you try to look at the at the literal, how the words were, makakakuha ka na ng tip from the from the terminologies themselves. Okay. So then yung functional spatial integration, functional, it means that its goal is about functions. It's about functions that ano ba ito? You are, so I'm looking for that you are linking spaces, okay? You are, because it's spatial integrations, you are linking spaces based on their functional relationships. So it's very limited. Like one of the examples of functional spatial integration is urban-rural integration. So that's a key concept under this. But it does not explicitly refer to a hierarchy or network of growth centers. And it should be very specific. And if you're not familiar about the growth concept, but if you're familiar with the growth pole concept, maa-answeran mo kaagad. Yung hardcore ba na you already know the concept of growth pole concept. Okay ba tayo?
Yes po, ma'am. Medyo, yung, na-imagine ko lang kasi growth pole, yung ano lang dyan, engine of growth. Yun lang kasi ako nakafocus. Kaya po.
Okay.
ah,
Yeah, it could be very very tricky pa din Okay. So, kapag alam mo 'yon, kaya nakita na ninyo, we really need to have a dedicated lecture on regional planning kasi it's very interesting, but it could be very tricky because of this. Kaya tandaan ninyo, town planning, alam dapat ninyo i-associate where is regional planning here. And if it's if all or mostly or 3 out of 4 are regional planning theories or concepts, and then you decide. Nagbibigay siya nagbibigay siya ng tip, functional, okay? Decentralized, territorial, and then smart growth, linking it with the, a lower than region ang scope. And then so makikita mo na kaagad na I'll cross this out, I'll cross this out, I'll cross this out. And what remains, alimbawa, hindi ko lang no-brainer. Okay, I need to choose letter A. Okay. Now, Jen, sino yung mga nandyan sa audience? Can we call? Kasi hindi ko nakikita, naka-concentrate ako sa...
Si Sir Alan po, si Ma'am April Joy.
April Joy, sige. Number 4. Okay. Number 4. 14 pala. 14, sorry. Basa lang muna.
Ma'am April Joy.
In local development planning, it is also called a term-based plan. A. Local development investment program. B. Executive and legislative agenda. C. Annual investment program. D. 7-point executive agenda.
So, where do you associate term-based?
Letter A, ma'am?
Okay, so sabi ni April Joy is letter A. So, sige muna, no? I'll not give the correct answer. Let's analyze muna yung question. So term-based, in local government, term-based refers to a planning document that covers the 3-year, three-year term of elected officials. Di ba?
Letter B pala, ma'am.
Di ba? The term there is that term. Okay. Term of elected officials. Okay, let's see. And then, so mayor, sanggunian, vice mayor, ganun. So it links the executive and legislative priorities for the same term. So alam mo na yan, no? So when we try to understand the question. Now, gusto ko lang gawin ito, yung ABCD. Okay. So, wala siyang nilagay na it links the executive and legislative priorities. So it could have been easier, di ba? Kapag meron yun nakalagay sa sentence or in the question. But what is LDIP? So I'll do it one by one as usual. And so the LDIP is a medium-term investment program that operationalizes the CDP for 3 to 6 years. However, the term-based plan is the distinct document tied directly to the elective term. So it's not the correct answer. So, tsaka yung LDIP, di ba? Hindi siya does not describe actually that one. Now, for ELA, it's specifically designed to cover the 3-year term of the office of local officials, and it consolidates the executive's priorities, di ba? Si Mayor, executive priorities with the legislative body's agenda. So, creating a joint roadmap, okay? It's a joint roadmap. For executive and legislative. Okay. And then the annual investment program is, of course, because may annual siya, and so it is a 1-year plan for the local government's priority programs, projects, and activities, and it's updated every year because of the word annual, and does not cover the whole elective term. So, kapag ka nakuha mo ito, pwede mo nang makuha kaagad si Ella. Pero kapag nagre-review kayo, you're practicing strategy, and so, yung annual, because of the word annual, and so it does not really represent term-based, so you can cross that out. And then the local development investment program, can you cross that out because of something else? Because it is a medium-term investment program that operationalizes the CDP for 3 to 6 years. So 3 to 6 years, so it does not really mirror yung term mismo. Kahit na-elect na sila, I mean, kahit wala sila, so it could still exist up to 6 years. Now, for the 7-point, obviously, for the 7-point agenda or executive agenda, wala naman siyang sinabing joint dito. So, pag hindi mo pa siya makuha, and it is actually a management tool or a campaign or, but not an official local planning document. It's not a planning document in 7-point executive agenda. And there's no standardized 7-point agenda in local government planning terminology. So it's just a slogan. Pwede pa ngang 10, 12, bahala ka, di ba? bahala si mayor. Pwede pa nga yung sa presidente, 20-point, mga ganon na. So it's more of a slogan than a formal plan. So kung ako yan, makikita ko na talaga, I will cross this out. And so kapag hindi ko alam yung answer, and I'm not from the LGU, and so, for example, I don't know Ella, and so kapag binura mo na ito, you already rejected that, you rejected this, rejected this one, also you are left with B, and makukuha mo pa rin yung answer, okay? Jen, sino yung pwede nating tawagin for number 15?
Ang meron po dito si Sir Bernard.
Bernard. Magbasa lang naman. Si Bernard. Sige, basa lang.
Hello po, Sir Bernard Poticano.
Mm-hmm. Or,
Okay.
okay.
Anong number po?
Si 15.
15 po.
Number 15.
Some
methods for selecting the preferred spatial strategy or urban form are cost-benefit analysis, II, planning balance sheet, III, goal achievement matrix, fourth is SWOT analysis.
Okay. So, when you are 15, so meron siyang pagpipilian dito, no? So, it's a combination. Okay? We go back to the question. And so, if you're, Bernard, if you're selecting and you are you want to try that question, preferred spatial strategy or urban form, what would you choose? Anong ibig sabihin ng question?
Methods for selecting the preferred spatial strategy. Methods.
Yes, decision. So, doon sa preferred spatial strategy, what are those spatial strategies kaya? No? If you're not sure about the preferred spatial strategy, there was an alternative terminology nakalagay urban form. So, I'll give you a hint. Spatial strategies are approaches to organizing land uses. So, land use yan, ano? Land use. And so, and within a territory, so it could be a city, it could be a municipality, a province or region, to achieve balance, efficient and sustainable growth. And these strategies guide where and how growth, infrastructure, and economic activities are distributed. So, yung mga common preferred spatial strategies in the land use could be concentration, so concentrated. Okay, concentration strategy. So, pwede rin na, so the purpose of this one is yung mga urban core or growth poles, pwede rin. So, to achieve economies of scale, di ba, pag kinakluster natin yung the same industry, so we achieve economies of scale, and then we also achieve efficiency in service delivery. So, for example, when we are promoting growth in Metro Manila or Cebu City or Davao as major urban hubs, then meron din tayong tinatawag na dispersal. Okay? Dispersal strategy. Medyo mahirap itong word, dispersal strategy, or there's another terminology for this. Pwede rin siyang deconcentration. So, deconcentration. So, okay, tingnan natin. It means that you are deliberately spreading development outward from the primary urban core to new or secondary centers. Could be toward the periphery, so toward towns or rural areas. So the purpose of which is to reduce congestion in the core, and also to balance regional development and encourage investments in less development areas. So what are the examples of this? When we created the growth corridors in as Calabar zone, ganon, and then special economic zones in Clark or in Subic. So this is the concentration or a dispersal strategy that we have leveraged as a land use strategy. Then meron din tayong tinatawag na linear, okay? Linear development. So, in linear development, meron din siyang equivalent term, which is the growth corridor. Okay? So, I cannot write this moment. Tingnan ko lang. Bakit kaya hindi ako makasulat? Growth corridor. So, kasi straight line siya, no? Because it's a corridor. So, that's an equivalent term. This one, it directs growth along defined transport routes. So, it's following that, or access, connecting urban centers and maximizing infrastructure investments. So the purpose is to stimulate growth along highways, along railways, or major roads that supports regional integration. So for example, NLEX, okay, North Luzon Expressway Corridor. Then we have the Manila-Batangas Industrial Corridor. So these are examples of linear development or growth corridor strategy. Meron din tayong tinatawag na polycentric. Okay, I'll write polycentric. What is polycentric anyway? Polycentric is it has an equivalent term which is network that promotes the development of multiple urban centers. Kaya nga poly, no? Ibig sabihin, these are nodes, each with complementary roles connected by infrastructure and services. So the purpose of which is to prevent over concentration and also to encourage local specialization and resilience as a, dagdag lang natin yan. And then, what are the examples? We have the metropolitan clusters like Metro Cebu and Metro Davao, or the emerging Luzon Urban Beltway. So, ang daming type of urban forms. So, tinatanong din sa board yan, ano? So, meron din tayong cluster or nodal development strategy. So, ano meaning nito? These are groups-related activities or industry clusters. Pwede ding agri-industrial estates, that in plant locations to create synergies and efficiency. And the purpose of which is to attract investments and fosters innovation through proximity. For example, the agro-industrial zones, or if there's a science park. And then, ang dami, balance or integrated development strategy, that, merong dispersal to outlying areas, and then and many more. Meron din tayong along the way when we do some dedicated lecture on, especially on regional planning, we will encounter integrated area development, the IAD, which for some time, yung NEDA dati, ngayon, di ba, department na sila. And so, yun yung ginagamit nila na major strategy nung araw, ano? And so, ang daming pwedeng. Now, okay, after having said that, mamimili na tayo. Ano yung methods for selecting this one? What do you think, Bernard? Anyone? Anyone who wants to try? Nakat ba ako or nakatulog kayo? Jen?
Ma'am, naririnig po yung boses mo, ma'am.
I see. O, ikaw na kaya ang fan. Sige.
Ma'am, hello po. Baka po siguro, ma'am, wala po yung option po kasi.
Okay. Hindi, di ba ito, kailangan natin ng kailangan natin ng basis,
Yes po, ma'am.
Pero kapag, sige, granting na walang ganon, makakapamili ba tayo? Ano kaya?
Ay, sumasagot sa chat box po. Ang sagot po ni Ma'am Meneli Joy and Sir Kiefer is letter A.
Letter A. Sige, ito. Sige, tingnan mo nga dyan. 1, 2, and 3.
1, 2, and 3.
Ano pa? Anyone who number 14 yun, So, anyone who have different answer? Okay. Wala na ba? Walang, walang...
Wala
okay.
na.
Sige. So, if we try to understand the question, di ba, nagbigay na ako ng mga iba-ibang, for 15. So, in cost-benefit analysis, Ah, okay, just a moment. Inom lang ako ha. Okay. In CBA or cost benefit analysis, isn't it it compares the expected costs and benefits, usually monetary, of each option. So this is common in both economic and planning context for ranking alternatives. Now, yun namang planning balance sheet, so ito, okay. So yung planning balance sheet it is a technique that lists all costs, benefit, still, parang ganun din lang, and impacts, but it has additional information. It includes impacts like social, economic, environmental in a balance sheet style to help decision makers see the trade-offs. And it's widely used in urban and regional planning for option appraisal. Okay. Now for goal achievement matrix, I had a lecture during the first orientation. Anyway, this is the second orientation conference already that I've held. So that those who are not hindi nakasali sa group can still benefit. Okay. So goal achievement matrix, you compare how well each alternative meets multiple goals and each option is scored. Parang ganito, madaming interest groups representing their own sector like fisher folk, ganon, farmers, or women, parang ganon. So each of this sector will score against, so each option is scored against each goal, helping also planners visualize which alternatives best achieve planning objectives. So they influence the scoring, and whoever gets the highest, that's the most, the demand, you would feel the demand, etc. Now for SWOT analysis, everyone knows this. You assess strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of an option, strategy, or plan. And this is used in initial appraisal or situational analysis, but not strictly a selection or evaluation tool for ranking alternative spatial strategies. It's more for diagnosis and understanding context. So if you now choose 1, 2, 3, for example, ang 1, 2, 3 dito sa first is, it means it's a combination of cost-benefit analysis, planning balance sheet, and goal achievement matrix. So, let's see, ano pa yan, kailangan, isa lang yung I dito, okay? Isa lang. So, if we consider I and the rest, they will all be eliminated. So, what is important, ganun tayo, if you're running out of time, parang feeling mo, hindi mo na you choose an option here na kapag ma-eliminate mo ito or ma-consider mo ito, and then kasi mag-isa lang doon siya sa choice, then yun muna yung unahin mong i-evaluate as an option. Or if you already know the answer, meron kasing mga reviewees or aspirants na alam kaagad nila. Meron yung mga ganon na they know even without elimination. But in case lang na hindi ka makapili dyan ng aalisin, kasi mostly here 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, tigta tatlo. So ibig sabihin isa dyan ang matatanggal. So kailangan makapili kayo ng either to eliminate, 1 to eliminate, especially yung mag-isa lang doon, yung 1, yung I. So what I'm trying to tell here is, will you include cost-benefit analysis in selecting or the preferred special? For example, polycentric. Sige, dispersal. For example, dispersal, yung i-disperse mo, i-concentrate mo yung isang lugar. So sa cost-benefit analysis, will it contribute, considering that it's also, I define it as when you compare the expected cost and benefits, usually monetary, of each option. Or kapag cluster kaya, you would like to use you will leverage yung ano na ba yan kanina? So I mentioned about I forget the clustering, diba? Yung nodes, and then when you try to group all the different the activities within the same industry, so you are creating a node. Okay, so okay, this letter I should be considered because this is common in both economic and planning context for when you rank alternatives. Kasi the main point here is you are selecting the preferred spatial strategy. Either polycentric ba yung aking gagawin sa bayan ko, linear or dispersal, ganyan. So marami kang alternative na about land use. Okay, you are organizing the different types of land uses, and you are selecting the spatial strategy that best fit, that would respond most effectively to the vision, parang ganun, no? And so you have all this in front of you as alternatives, and you want to rank it. So cost-benefit analysis is one. Pag nakuha mo na yung one, doon, so only A has I or 1. So naturally, you can already cancel, or you can already eliminate the rest. Okay? But of course, makikita mo daan, you need to really think about, you cannot answer kapag hindi mo alam yung concept here. So yung planning balance sheet also, it is a technique that you list all the costs, and then, but what matters, what's unique about planning balance sheet is it is also listing the impacts. So that the decision makers would really see the benefits and the advantages, the disadvantages. So this one, planning balance sheet, is widely used in urban and regional planning for appraisal, for option appraisal. Which one should I choose as a spatial strategy? So kailangan malaman natin, alam ninyo na itong planning balance sheet is very common, and then the cost-benefit analysis would also be considered. And considering na walang ganito, no? And so, alam mo dapat tig-isa ito. And then yung goal achievement matrix also, it involves stakeholders. So that makes it unique, no? Stakeholders na sila yung mag-i-score. Okay? May formula ito sa goals achieved. So only SWOT analysis should be discarded. It should be eliminated here. So you have an answer I, double I, and triple I. Because SWOT analysis, there's no scoring, there's no figures there. You are just characterizing. So what makes it weak, what makes it ganito. Okay? So I'll proceed to number 15. Jen, sino pa ba?
Si Ma'am Crizel, Sir James.
James. Sige, James.
Okay po.
LQ.
Lovers quarrel. Ay, hindi. Joke lang. Number 15. If the location quotient of an industry in a municipality vis-a-vis The province is more than one. It shows that, letter A, the municipality is more specialized than the province as a whole in that type of economic activity. Letter B, the municipality is less specialized in that activity or sector than the province as a whole. Or letter C, the activity is equally important in both the municipality and the province. So, for me, ma'am, based on the formula for allocation quotient, which is yung specialization of a certain industry with respect to a smaller location with over a bigger location po. Since greater than one po yung nasa numerator, ibig sabihin it is more specialized siya. So, letter
Okay.
A po yung sagot ko po.
Okay, so for the benefit of other people here on Zoom, so sabi ni James kanina, meron siyang answer. Letter A ba yon?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yung formula is industry share in municipality and industry share in province. Okay. So that's the location quotient. Ito favorite ito na itanong ng board. Industry share in province. So please note, okay, that in solving for LQ, the denominator should always be the parent. Okay? Parent, kung LGU ito, parent jurisdiction or parent LGU. So in this case, municipality. So what is in the hierarchy? It's parent LGU is province. So it's always the denominator. So kapag alimbawa, yung share mo doon, sinabi niya sa problem that it is more than one. So if, for example, we assign something like, ano kaya yung panang natin, na i-assign natin para magkaroon tayo ng greater than one. So the share should be higher so that we can find a LQ is greater than 1. So, for example, LQ is for the municipality is 20%. Okay, 20%. And then industry share in province is 10%. So this is equal to 2. Diba? So this 2, this is greater than 1. So what does it indicate for, sabi ni James, that the municipality is more specialized than the province as a whole in that type of economic activity. Diba? For example, this is in the tourism, for example. So si municipality, it is greater yung kanyang industry share than the province. So that is greater than 1. James is correct that it is more specialized because the interpretation of LQ equals to, okay, for example, agriculture, for example, when we achieve 2 in this problem, it means that the employment share, for example, employment share, ang pinag-uusapan natin ito, agriculture is twice, okay? Twice as important, halimbawa, employment share. Twice as important in this municipality, okay, in this municipality, then in the province as a whole. Then in the province as a whole. So, as a whole. So that's what it means. And when you say twice as important or more than 1, it means that the municipality is specialized or specializing in agriculture. So that indicates specialization. Okay. What else? Because probably it is a farming town. So if LQ equals 0.5, so pag ang LQ equals 0.5, then it indicates that agriculture is half as important locally as in the province. So the area is not specialized in agriculture. So ganun lang siya kasimple. So why are we even talking about location quotient? Because through LQ, whatever we were able to obtain as a result here, it identifies strengths. It shows which industries are pillars of the local economy, or maybe it's a potential for growth, investment, or protection. So when you so if too many municipalities have high LQs in the same sector, the whole province might be vulnerable to shocks like crop failure, price drops, etc. So, ang dami siyang pwede nating ma-derive na meaning when the province is smaller and when too many municipalities are greater than one, yung kanyang LQ in agriculture. So, LQ is greater than 1, there's local specialty, more concentrated. It also, aside from specialization, we can also say it is more concentrated. So we can use more concentrated as a term, okay? More concentrated in that industry. Okay. When LQ equals 1, okay? Hindi siya greater, hindi siya small, equals 1, it means they have same importance locally and province-wide, the municipality in this case. And then when LQ is lesser than 1, less important locally than in province. So the activity is equally important. It means that we achieve LQ equals 1. The municipality is less specialized. It means LQ is lesser than 1. Okay? So in the problem, if the location quotient of industry in a municipality vis-a-vis the province is more than 1, okay, LQ is more than 1, it means, it shows that the municipality, correct yung answer ni James, the municipality is more specialized than the province as a whole in that type of economic activity, whatever the economic activity is. But because it did not mention any industry or economic activity, and don't overthink, basta sagutin mo lang na ganyan. Okay? So I'll try to erase. Jen, sino pa yung pwedeng magbasa? Basa lang. I'll explain anyway. Or if they can answer, why not? Diba? Okay.
Opo. Si Ma'am Crizel, Dominique, Sir Jason, ganun.
Jason. Si Jason, sige.
Jason Bien po.
Okay, sige. Try natin, no? Jason.
po.
Okay.
Number 16. HLURB is the sole regulatory body of land use and housing development as provided for under A. EO 72, B. RA 7160, C. EO 90, D. None of the above. Letter D.
Letter
D.
D. Okay. Letter D. None of the above because okay. So let's do it one by one, no? Yung EO 72 prescribes the guidelines for the preparation and review of CLUPs of local government units, but it does not declare HLURB as the sole regulatory body. Instead, it gives LGUs the authority to approve their own CLUPs, with HLURB now dissued reviewing these plans for cities and municipalities. And so that's the series of 1993. So wag niyo yung kalimutan ito, na series, is it 1993? Correct ba ako? Ito namang 7160, it's the local government code, di ba? Local government code. Okay. 1991. So it is it further devolved planning and regulatory powers to LGUs. It did not make HLURB the sole regulator, but actually empowered local legislative councils, the Sanggunians, to approve CLUPs and zoning ordinances. So in EO 90, this so kailangan alam natin lahat itong mga laws natin kasi remember parang 42% ba yan out of 35% sa natin sa table of specifications. Now for EO 90, it's series of 1986. That's the presidential issuance that created the HLURB and designated it as the sole regulatory body for land use development and housing regulation in the country. So it may be it's now DSUD, diba? So there was another law that created DSUD, but in this case it is asking about parang this is historical, no? That which law created HLURB, and it's not EO 90, Jason, that created HLURB and designated it as the sole regulatory body for land use development and housing regulation. So it is specific, pero hindi naman tinatanong kung anong section, but just to make sure that it is in section 5 of EO 90. EO 90. I'll get the correct format. 90, that states that the HLURB shall be the sole regulatory body for housing and land development. So we cannot consider the none of the above. Can you just try to check later, no? So EO 90. Let's check that online. So that so EO 90 issued on December 17, 1986 identify the government agencies essential for the National Shelter Program. It also created the HUD-C. Tingnan pa natin itong sa Lawfield. Tingnan natin. Baka nga correct si Jason. Can you check? It's the HUD-C, created the housing. Correct kaya itong na ito? Because in the creating the housing and urban development coordinating council, rationalizing funding sources. So parang wala naman dito yung So let's try to challenge itong answer sheet nila. So let's see. HLURB. Can you check sino na to? Si James?
Ma'am, excuse po, Sigfrid po. Parang yung
Sigfrid.
EO 90 HUD-C po, tapos yung
HUD-C, no?
HLURB po is 648. 1981.
1981, So let's see. Itong EO, so mali yung nila, yung EO 648. Sige nga, i-log na natin para natin.
Yes, EO 648, 1981 po.
February 7, 1981.
1981.
So this is the HLURB, no? HLURB. Okay. As the human, pero still created the housing. Pero yung question niya kasi is as the sole regulatory body. Nilagay ba niya yan? Can you see?
Ma'am, excuse me. Ma'am,
sige.
Sa EO 90, December 17, 1986, EO 90, EO defined the mandates key government agency involved housing, yung HUD-C, including housing and land development, including the HLURB, which became the sole regulatory body for the sector.
Nilagay niya yung EO 90?
Opo.
But the creation is EO 648 na sa HLURB. Pero correct pa rin yung 90.
Yes, ma'am.
Same contention, ma'am, kasi yung EO90, actually, yun yung nakalagay doon na parang na rename. Yung HSRC naging HLURB na, ma'am.
So,
Yes,
ano?
HSRC
naging HLURB.
yes po, by the EO90 of President Corazon Aquino po.
Okay. So, correct pa rin yun, no? EO90.
Yes po, ma'am. Tama po yung EO90.
Oo. Pero doon sa pagtitignan mo yung title niya, you will not see. Pero pag, whereas ba yan? Si Jason ba yan kanina? Sino yung nagsagot ng
James,
ano?
ma'am, James.
Si James.
Whereas po, isa sa mga whereas po niya, ma'am.
Isa sa mga whereas, not the title itself. Kasi usually, kapag ka sa title, yun yung parang ano, yun yung main content niya. Pero sa whereas niya, it did say that it is the sole regulatory body. Ganun ba? Of land use and housing development. Baka magkamali tayo dito, ha? So, correct ba? Nakalagay niya as sole regulatory body. Did it mention HLURB as the sole regulatory body? James?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. So,
Nasa ano po yun, ma'am? Letter C. Title Housing Agencies and Mandates ng EO90.
Di pag pag itatanong ulit ito, makukuha natin, no? So, kasi kapag titingnan mo lang yung title, tama si Jason. Kapag ka none of the above. But, nandun pala siya, naka-enshrine pala siya, hindi pala siya eksakto na ano. Okay. So, we will, so we continue. Let's be patient, ha? So, this is a very important itong AS 17, 18, 92. So, we will finish up to 20 lang. Okay, someone can read number 17.
Jumel.
Si Jumel.
That number 17, France of Peru is the growth pole theory as Dioshadis is to A, industrial location theory, B, patterns of human settlements, C, short-run regional change, and D, none of the above. B, patterns of human settlements. Yung sagot ko, ma'am.
Patterns of human settlements. Okay. Nakam across mo na ito ay Jumel?
Yes, ma'am. Yung ano yan eh. Yung
okay.
Network, shell, yung sinabi ni ano eh.
Okay. Actually itong this mock exams, this was passed on to so different people na ito. So mali itong spelling nila. So I was not the one who prepared for this one, but I will correct it. So Doc Shadis, okay? Doc Shadis. Baka mali mamaya yung masulat natin.
Doc Shadis talaga. Kinalito ko.
Sorry.
Doc Shadis talaga.
Si ito naman, si Peru. Actually, ang totoong pangalan niya is ganito. Para parang review na rin natin ng about history, ano?
Francois Peru.
So ito naman, pero ito, you don't pronounce it Peru. Iba yung pronunciation niya because this is French, I think. So Pehu, parang ganon. So it's something difficult to pronounce. Just a moment. Tingnan ko lang. Sige nga, pagtsagaan natin. Sige, anyway, hindi naman oral exam, di ba? So, later na lang pag maging ENP kayo, and then you get to discuss yung mga ano din na mga and incorporate that in your work or in your plans. So you can use PEHU, ganon, is to growth pole. Ang ibig sabihin, PEHU is the growth pole. As Doc Shadis. So, hahanapin natin what did Doc Shadis, okay, contribute. Here is this one. Okay. For PEHU, he was an economist for the growth pole. Nakalagay dito. So, again, we review growth pole theory that economic development does not occur everywhere. So, yun yung kay PEHU, that it does not occur everywhere at once, but radiates from certain dynamic centers. Ibig sabihin, growth poles. So, di ba, kapag it does not happen overnight. It does not occur everywhere at once, but radiates from certain dynamic centers. So, ito yung growth pole. Growth pole. Okay, growth pole. And then, yung growth center. So, and then, pag bigger ito, and then somewhere, it will radiate, it could be smaller. Okay? And then, magra-radiate na naman siya. So, that's the growth pole theory. And so, Constantinos Doxiadis, yung sinasabing, ano na yan, Constantinos. Ang hirap na pangalan din nila. Constantinos Doxiadis. This is, he's really popular because he was a Greek architect, Greek architect siya. Siguro naman matatandaan ninyo yung ano niya, yung kanyang pangalan, because it's very Greek, and planner also. He's a planner. And he was best known for his ekistics, okay? Medyo maitunog din siya, di ba, Jumel? Medyo nagra-rhyme?
Yes po, ma'am.
Ekistics. Okay, ekistics. So ano yung ibig sabihin ng ekistics? It is the science of human settlements. Settlements, okay. And so pwede din niyo i-incorporate yung ganyan sa mga plans ninyo by stating a theory and who said what. So, and ekistics as a science of human settlements, it refers to the study of patterns, forms, and functions of settlements. So, at all scales, large, medium, small, but from the household to the global city. Yun yung kay Constantinos Doxiadis. So, ano na yung answer mo, Jumel? Jumel? Ano yung answer mo?
Sorry, nakamit pala ako. Ma'am B. Patterns
B,
of human settlements.
Okay, so that's the ekistics. Do you know na ekistics yan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, we will do that one by one, although it was already answered correctly. Letter A, so what's industrial location? Si Alfred, parang Weber siya, this one. Alfred Weber. He actually, it's focused on where industries locate. Ito, industrial location, di ba? So it's where you locate industries for maximum efficiency. Okay? Its goal is maximum efficiency. Maximum efficiency. So please don't forget this one. And then we are already done with patterns of human settlements, which is the ekistics by Doc Shadis. And then ano ibig sabihin itong short run regional change? Di ba kung minsan tingnan na lang natin yung terminology if we're not able to remember that it's a regional change. Okay, so short run regional change. Ano ba yan? Hindi ko alam. But it's a short run regional change. So, for me to research, okay? To research. Because I don't really use that. So none of above. Okay. So we can now go to number 18. 18. Si Jumel na rin. Para dala-diretso mo na. Para matapos natin ito. Hello. Madali lang itong ano. Jen? Hello? Knock, knock.
Ma'am.
Hello po.
Sorry. So, bakit kayo lumabas yung mga ano? Okay, can you do 18?
Hello, ma'am. Okay na. Yes, ma'am. The pattern of urban settlement of man is as follows. A. Urban region, megalopolis, metropolis. B. Village, megalopolis, town. C. Village, city, urban region. D. None of the above. For me, ma'am, pong ano yung pagkasunod-sunod. Para sa akin yung letter C, village, city, urban region.
So, what exactly, sandali, letter?
C po.
Okay. So, what exactly are we looking for? So, if we try to analyze the question, so it refers to pattern of urban settlement of man is as follows. So, pag sinabi mong ganyan, di ba, may a combination of large, ganon, medium. So, it means it is a hierarchy, di ba? Settlement hierarchy.
Evolution.
Or pattern, ano? So, it describes how human communities grow from smallest to largest, simplest to most complex. And so, the typical classical hierarchy from smallest to largest is what? Parang ganun. So, village is the smallest, di ba? Village, the smallest. And then, it's followed by a town, and then city. Kung town, parang pareho na rin siya ng city. So, and then region. Okay, region. And then metropolis, megalopolis, ganun na. So that's the normal settlement hierarchy. So for the urban region, megalopolis, metropolis. So it started with urban region. So when it started with urban region, it's already large, no? So it has to start somewhere else, which should be smallest. Kasi yung ano dito, tinatanong dito smallest to largest. And then urban region is already large, so we can already eliminate. Eliminate. Okay. Then the letter B is nag-start naman siya sa village, but then it jumped to megalopolis. So this order is not logical in terms of size because smallest to largest. So we can then we will skip letter C. It's none of the above. So and so we have a village, at least hindi man siya yung na village city, because meron naman tayong sinusundan na village, town, city, urban region, metropolis, megalopolis. So it is more the most logical is letter C. So can we go, whoever can read number 19? 19.
Ay, ma'am, Sigpard po. Ako na.
Sige lang. Sige. Game.
Which of the following cities is considered a global city? Letter A, New York. B, Taiwan. C, Seoul. D, none of the above. So, sagot ko po is A, ma'am, since letter B, Taiwan is a country, so it's not a city. Tapos,
Yeah.
even though Seoul is a city, but hindi po ganun yung influence, kalaki yung influence niya sa global network. So, choose ko po is New York po.
Okay. Seoul is a major city din, ano? It's the capital of South Korea. But when we talk about global city, of course, meron ranking but this should have a basis, di ba? So New York, as we all know, is universally and historically also a global city, and always included in the ranking of global city. So, well, Seoul is also influential, but parang textbook answer ba is New York. So, okay, we can go to the next one. Up to 20.
Ako na po. The
20.
city of Manila was a plaza complex during the A. Commonwealth period, B. Japanese occupation, C. Spanish colonization, D. American era, E. None of the above. Ang sagot po dyan, ma'am, is Spanish colonization kasi as we all know, the plaza complex is one of the planning concept that was introduced by the Spanish during its occupancy in the Philippines po.
Yes. So, meron tayong era, Spanish era, ganun, ano? And so, that plaza complex, you remember last night, we talked about plaza complexes.
Yes,
Not
the same recitation ako din.
Ayaw na. Yung planning knowledge, contribution. So, it is also a system. And it's a model also in Manila and across Philippines. And so, ano yung sinasabi diyan sa Plaza Complex? It's the city was laid out according to the laws of the Indies. Okay, para lang marinig na ng iba who were not present last night. So, this was in accordance or according to the laws of the Indies. So, featuring a central plaza. So, central plaza. So, we will put here central plaza. And so, as the organizing element of urban life. So, yung Commonwealth kasi, ano naman yung sa Commonwealth? That's follow the American rule and did not introduce or emphasize the plaza complex. So, it's not associated with the Commonwealth period. So, during that time, in the Commonwealth period, urban development was already moving toward American models. Japanese occupation also here is included. It's in letter B that it was a period of war actually. Ano yung maalala natin dito, di ba? Period of war. Not city building in this era. Urban planning innovations, hindi rin siya. So, that. So, and then Spanish colonialism, American era, hindi rin siya yung sa American era because American era is the colonial, American colonial that introduced already new urban planning ideals. Remember, American era, ito yung panahon ni na Daniel Barnham, okay? Daniel Barnham. So, during the time of Daniel Barnham, so he planned, the era then was the City Beautiful movement. City Beautiful movement. But not really the plaza complex. So, and then, okay. Yan. This one for tomorrow siguro, no? And then toward para makuha lang natin if something, sana may nakuha tayo na strategy dyan, how to do it. Pero there's nothing like remembering pa din. Kasi if you remember, you have to understand. And you're able to apply. Kanina, madaming application dito, no? So, pero yun lang yung ko. Ito, it's my assignment. What is this? I don't know. Matagal na akong planner, but hindi ko alam yun. Anyway, thank you, everyone. Jen, by the way, for some others who wants to join the Empolido group, you can just ask Jen. Jen, take it away. Siguro, Jen, anyway, meron kayo sa lahat sa GC. So, panahon na kasi ng coaching, But for those who are taking the exam 2026, pang top notcher na yun na level, ano, na because you are preparing 1 year. So you can talk to Jen kung paano, no? Because you can access anyway everything that have been discussed. So, Jen, take it away. Stop ko na.